that it was my choice.
Just
let me finish.
midnight.
Rules.
Motherfuckers.
It's a meta.
The outsider has...
Have the principal inside. I can dance. Definitely.
In the interest of Hallstatt,
No leader of Hallstatt. This is going to change. Will be raised. Look at you. Just like your sister, what is your fate?
It's okay.
Stay quiet.
We embraced you, and it's fully yours. Did you think that... Where is she?
Charming. Yourself the fate of what you're doing easier.
One can be evil. Here they are. You kill me. Choice. You've got your choice. Baby, look at me. Come on.
Sorry, honey.
Hey guys, today we're diving deep into the intricate, high-stakes, and surprisingly ballet-infused world of Ballerina, the latest spin-off from the John Wick universe. We kick things off with a stark contrast, the elegant, almost ethereal grace of a young girl, Rooney, lost in the beauty of ballet. She's all precision and poise, living what seems like an idyllic life, full of pointe shoes and plies. But as with all good origin stories in this universe, that tranquility is about as stable as a house of cards in a hurricane. Soon, the screen explodes, literally, as her family and their entire world are brutally ripped away in a devastating attack. This isn't your typical my dog died revenge story. This is my entire existence was obliterated, setting her on a path of vengeance that makes even John Wick's bad day look like a minor inconvenience. This event, the shattering of her innocent world, becomes the crucible for the assassin she's destined to become. If you had a good time with this, a like and a subscribe is a free way to help me keep making more after the smoke clears and the dust settles on her former life. A shell-shocked Rooney is scooped up by the Roma, the very same shadowy organization that trained John Wick. They're basically a combination of a super strict boarding school and an assassin finishing academy with a side of dramatic ballet. She's brought before the director, a formidable matriarch whose gaze could probably stop a speeding bullet and whose expressions hint at a deep, unspoken sorrow. It's here, amidst the stark, almost brutalist architecture of their hidden compound, that Rooney's new life truly begins. There's no hand-holding or therapy sessions. Instead, she's offered a purpose to hone her grief into a weapon. It's a silent transaction, an understanding forged not with words, but with the clenching of fists and the hardened glint in her eyes. The pain is raw, but the seeds of retribution are already taking root, promising a harvest of highly choreographed destruction. Fast forward a few years, and we're plunged into a montage of absolute, bone-grinding discipline. This isn't your average gym membership. Rooney's training is a brutal symphony of pain and precision. We see her pushing past physical limits, her body becoming an instrument of deadly grace. There's the snap of a punch bag, the whoosh of her leg slicing through the air, and the rhythmic thud of her feet as she perfects her balance, not just for dancing, but for delivering a swift, unexpected kick to an unsuspecting villain's jaw. The juxtaposition of delicate ballet movements with brutal hand-to-hand combat is just chef's kiss. Who knew that perfect posture and core strength acquired from pirouettes would be so useful for breaking someone's arm? She learns about a vast network, a world beyond the veil of normal society, where every ticket is a life taken, and every movement is a potential weapon. Every grueling session, every aching muscle, is a step closer to identifying and dismantling the people responsible for her family's demise. It's a masterclass in weaponizing grief, and frankly, it looks exhausting. Her first official assignment isn't some grand, cinematic showdown, but a calculated elimination, a test of her newfound capabilities. She moves through the high-security office like a whisper, the soft tap of her specialized shoes barely audible on the polished marble. The target, a mid-level figure in some unsavory organization, never sees her coming. There's a swift, almost elegant disarm, a balletic sweep that ends with a sharp crack and a silenced pistol pointed precisely where it needs to be. It's less about brute force and more about surgical precision, a dancer's ability to control every muscle, every movement, translated into deadly efficiency. The scene is devoid of wasted motion, showcasing her meticulous planning and the chilling calm with which she operates. This isn't personal, not yet. This is an affirmation of her training, a chilling declaration of intent to the underworld, a notice that a new predator has joined the game. And she's absolutely not here for the encores. With her reputation slowly building, Rooney isn't content with just taking out minor league baddies. Her real goal, the burning ember beneath her cool exterior, is the truth about her family's murder. We follow her down the rabbit hole of intelligence gathering, a digital ghost flitting through encrypted networks, cross-referencing old crime reports, and leveraging the Roma's extensive information network. There's the soft click of a keyboard, the subtle hum of servers, as she meticulously pieces together the puzzle. The scene builds with quiet tension as she finally uncovers a name, a face, or perhaps more disturbingly, a symbol linked to the attack. It's a gut-punch moment for her, the culmination of years of suppressed rage suddenly given a tangible target. This isn't just data on a screen. It's the face of her tormentor, the orchestrator of her tragedy. The air crackles with unspoken fury as she commits this crucial piece of information to memory, a silent vow to make them pay. And probably with extreme prejudice, knowing she can't just go around slaughtering high-table adjacent folks without consequences. Rooney decides it's time to politely knock on the door of the high table's neutral ground, the Continental Hotel. She walks into its opulent, almost hushed halls, the gentle clink of crystal glasses, and the soft murmur of conversations creating a veneer of calm over a deeply violent world. There she meets Winston, the unflappable, ever-observant manager, whose wisdom is as sharp as his suits. Their conversation is a masterclass in polite threats and veiled warnings, a delicate dance of power dynamics. He acknowledges her past, recognizes her raw desire for retribution, but subtly reminds her of the rules, the sacred tenets that govern their bloody profession. It's like asking your boss for permission to take out a rival company, but instead of a merger, it's a body count. Winston, with that knowing look of his, probably sees a lot of himself, or perhaps even John Wick in her steely resolve, offering cryptic advice and perhaps a subtle nod to where certain resources might be found. The implication being, good luck, but don't say I didn't warn you when the entire world comes for you, with Winston's vague blessing, or at least his decision not to immediately declare her excommunicado. Rooney dives headfirst into the underworld's bustling black markets. This isn't your average shopping trip. It's a chaotic symphony of whispered deals, the clatter of strange currencies, and the glint of illicit weaponry under neon lights. Imagine an Etsy for assassins, but with more explosives and less artisanal soap. She moves through the throngs, a ghost among the gargoyles, her senses heightened, picking up snippets of information, observing the shady dealings, and perhaps acquiring a few specialized items. From a street vendor who sells custom-made blades that shing with lethal grace, to a tech was hawking encrypted communications. This bazaar is a treasure trove for anyone looking to cause extreme mayhem. It's a sensory overload, a kaleidoscope of danger and opportunity, as she meticulously selects the tools she'll need for her upcoming war. Every choice, every purchase feels weighty, a prelude to the storm she's about to unleash. Her first major target is cornered in a throbbing, bass-heavy nightclub, a place where the music is so loud you can feel it in your teeth. Rooney, dressed to kill literally, glides onto the dance floor, melting into the crowd like a phantom. The flashing strobe lights cut through the darkness, intermittently illuminating her as she initiates the attack. It's a beautifully choreographed ballet of brutality. The crack of a skull against a wall, the muffled thud of a body dropping, all synchronized to the relentless beat of the music. She uses every inch of the environment. A bar stool becomes a weapon, a mirrored wall becomes a tactical advantage, and her own body is a whirlwind of lethal kicks and punches. The initial confusion quickly gives way to panic as the partygoers realize this isn't part of the show. The metallic clang of a dropped weapon, the sharp gasp of a guard, and the visceral squelch of a precisely landed strike fill the air, cutting through the electronic beats. It's a chaotic, visceral scene, showcasing her unparalleled combat prowess and her chilling determination to leave no witness, only a trail of bodies and shattered innocence. Definitely not the kind of club where you want to lose your code check ticket unnoticed, especially not by the director. Rooney is summoned for another meeting, this time under a heavier cloud of apprehension. The director, ever the stoic, reminds Rooney of the delicate balance of power within the underworld, and how her unsanctioned rampage is upsetting more than just a few low-level thugs. There's the subtle rustle of old papers as the director gestures to a map, illustrating the ripple effect of Rooney's defiance. The high table, as you might guess, isn't thrilled about an unaligned asset causing so much creative destruction. It's a formal warning, delivered with the gravity of an impending earthquake. Continue down this path, and she risks not just her own life, but the fragile piece of the rusk aroma. The conversation is punctuated by pointed silences, heavy with the weight of unspoken threats and the stark reality of the consequences. It's a moment where Rooney must weigh her personal vendetta against the wider implications for her surrogate family. But let's be real, she's not one to back down easily. As if the director's warning wasn't enough, the high table decides to send in the big guns, an adjudicator. These folks aren't known for their warm, fuzzy feelings or their ability to take a hint. The meeting takes place in a strangely public yet isolated space, perhaps an art gallery after hours, adding a layer of unsettling calm to the confrontation. The adjudicator, impeccably dressed and radiating an icy authority, calmly informs Rooney that her endeavors have been deemed a breach of protocol. There's the crisp swish of the adjudicator's tailored suit as they move, delivering an ultimatum with the precision of a seasoned order. The tinkling of a nearby abstract sculpture seems to mock the deadly seriousness of the conversation. Rooney is given a choice: cease and desist, or face the full, unforgiving wrath of the high table. It's not a suggestion. It's a death sentence wrapped in velvet. The air is thick with unspoken threats, a silent challenge laid bare. This is where things get truly complicated, because suddenly, she's not just hunting her family's killers. She's waging war on the entire system, just when she thought things couldn't get more intense. Rooney finds herself in the middle of a bustling open-air market, only to be ambushed by a small army of high-table enforcers. The vibrant colors of spices and fabrics quickly give way to the chaotic clatter of overturned stalls, the shouts of scattering shoppers, and the metallic whiz of blades and bullets. It's a sensory explosion, a brutal dance amidst everyday life. Rooney, ever the resourceful warrior, turns the market into her personal combat arena. She uses a vendor's cart as a shield, a sharp display hook as a makeshift weapon, and a cascade of fruit to trip her opponents. There's the splat of oranges hitting the ground, the crunch of vegetables underfoot, and the rapid thwack of her kicks connecting. It's a close-quarters ballet of violence, her movements precise and deadly as she parries, dodges, and eliminates threats with brutal efficiency. The sheer speed and agility she displays are mesmerizing, a testament to her unique blend of dance and combat training. It's a public declaration of war against the high table, a bold move that firmly cements her status as a force to be reckoned with, and definitely not someone you want to mess with when she's trying to buy some artisanal cheese after that market melee. Rooney realizes she can't fight the entire high table alone, so she does what any smart assassin would do. She seeks out the guy who knows everyone and everything, a powerful underworld information broker. Let's call him the Bowery King of this universe. She descends into his grimy, graffiti-covered lair, a place that smells faintly of old newspapers and righteous rebellion. The creak of rusted metal and the distant drip of water fill the air as she navigates his labyrinthine domain. The Bowery King, surrounded by his loyal network of street informants, offers her a wary but intrigued audience. Their conversation is a delicate dance of respect and suspicion, a negotiation for aid without explicitly asking for it. He offers her invaluable intelligence, maybe even some assets, because everyone loves a good old-fashioned favor. In return, Rooney promises. Well, she promises more chaos, but chaos directed at their shared enemy. It's a fragile alliance, forged in the fires of mutual defiance against the high table, a strategic chess move that shifts the balance of power ever so slightly in her favor. Plus, she probably got some really good intel on where to find the best street food. The high table, now thoroughly fed up with Rooney's antics, decides to play its ultimate trump card. She's summoned to a hallowed, almost sacred chamber, where a council of cloaked figures, representing the ancient authority of the high table, presides. The air is thick with anticipation, the only sounds being the soft rustle of their robes and the heavy thud of a gavel. No more warnings. This is the end of diplomacy. The chief elder, with a voice that seems to echo through centuries of tradition, formally declares her excommunicado. This isn't just a fancy word for being fired. It means she's cut off from all continental services, stripped of any protection, and now, officially, open season for every assassin on the planet. Her ticket is officially punched, and not in a good way. The room feels like it's sucking the air out of her lungs, but Rooney's expression remains unyielding. She knows the stakes, and if anything, this just fuels her resolve. It's a defiant roar against an ancient order, a declaration that she would rather burn than bend. And let's be honest, those robes probably make it really hard to sneak up on anyone. Now officially the most wanted person in the underworld. Rooney sets her sights on the main antagonist's fortress, a gleaming, high-tech skyscraper that screams villain lair louder than a supervillain monologue. This isn't a frontal assault, it's a surgical infiltration. She rappels down the sheer side of the building, a silent shadow against the urban night, the whirring of her gear barely audible. Laser grids, motion sensors, and pressure plates are all expertly bypassed with a series of acrobatic maneuvers and precise timing. The faint beep of a disarmed alarm, the subtle click of a locked door giving way, highlight her extraordinary stealth and technical prowess. It's like watching a deadly ballet performance, but instead of an audience, she's got armed guards who are definitely not applauding. Every movement is calculated, every breath held, as she weaves through the advanced security systems, an embodiment of grace under pressure. This is a game of cat and mouse, and Rooney is definitely not the mouse. She's the kind of cat that shows up with a silenced pistol and a very bad attitude. Once inside, Rooney doesn't find an empty office. She finds a gauntlet of the antagonist's most elite, heavily armed guards. They're basically a walking advertisement for "don't mess with this guy." The sterile, almost clinical white corridors become a stage for a brutal ballet of close-quarters combat. There's the rapid thump-thump of her heart against her ribs, the heavy thud of boots on reinforced flooring, and the sharp crack of bone against bone. Rooney unleashes her full arsenal of mixed martial arts, combining devastating kicks with precise hand strikes. The clang of her specialized knife against a guard's armor, the muffled grunt of a defeated foe, and the rhythmic swish of her movements punctuate the silence of the high-security facility. She's outnumbered, but never outmaneuvered, moving with a fluid, almost impossible grace that belies the sheer force of her attacks. Each guard is dispatched with a chilling efficiency, a testament to her years of rigorous training. It's less a fight, more an extermination, leaving a trail of unconscious or worse bodies in her wake, as she systematically clears her path to the man who ruined her life. Finally, after carving a path through an army of goons, Rooney reaches the inner sanctum, coming face to face with the man who orchestrated her family's murder. He's not cowering or panicking. Instead, he's seated calmly at a ridiculously opulent desk, a subtle, almost infuriating smirk playing on his lips. The quiet tick-tock of a ridiculously expensive grandfather clock fills the tense silence. Their dialogue is a verbal sparring match, a chilling exchange where he reveals his motivations, power, control, the usual villainous fare, and she articulates the raw, unyielding nature of her vengeance. His voice is smooth, condescending, almost dismissive of her pain, which only serves to ignite the inferno within her. Her voice, however, is a low, dangerous growl, laced with years of bottled-up grief and an unwavering resolve. It's a battle of wills before the physical battle even begins, a moment where the weight of her past collides with the architect of her present. And honestly, this guy clearly didn't get the memo that you never, ever smirk at a John Wick universe assassin. Rookie mistake, and here we are, the main event, the grand final duel. This isn't a quick skirmish. It's an extended, brutal, and incredibly cinematic struggle for survival and vengeance. The opulent penthouse, initially a symbol of the antagonist's power, quickly becomes a battlefield, with furniture crashing, glass shattering, and priceless art becoming collateral damage. Rooney, fueled by righteous fury, and the antagonist, driven by a desperate desire to maintain control, clash with a ferocity that rattles the very foundations of the building. We hear the clanging of blades, the crack of a custom-built pistol, and the heavy thud of bodies hitting ornate rugs. It's a whirlwind of punches, kicks, and improvised weaponry. A crystal chandelier is used as a grappling point, a priceless statue becomes a projectile, and the very structure of the penthouse is systematically dismantled around them. The struggle is relentless, highlighting not just Rooney's superior skill, but her unbreakable will. Each blow exchanged carries the weight of her tragic past, making every move more desperate, more visceral. It's a raw, emotional, and utterly exhausting fight that leaves both combatants battered, but Rooney's still standing, just barely, a grim victor. The fight reaches its explosive crescendo, literally. In the chaotic, desperate final moments, Rooney triggers a series of strategically placed charges, turning the antagonist's pristine penthouse into a fiery inferno. There's the deafening roar of the explosion, the shattering of every single window, and the terrifying crumbling of the skyscraper's upper floors. She makes a dramatic, almost impossible escape, leaping from the rapidly collapsing structure, the searing heat of the flames licking at her heels. As she lands, battered and bruised, but undeniably alive, she turns back, watching the magnificent, brutal destruction she has wrought. The orange glow of the fire reflects in her eyes, a complex mix of satisfaction, exhaustion, and perhaps a hint of melancholy. This isn't just the destruction of a building. It's the symbolic eradication of her past torment, a physical manifestation of her revenge. The crackle of the burning debris and the distant wail of emergency sirens mark the end of her bloody mission. The antagonist, along with his fortress, is consumed by the inferno, leaving no doubt that Rooney's vengeance is complete, and her past is, quite literally, up in smoke. In the quiet aftermath. With the smoke still lingering in the air and the news channels abuzz with stories of a mysterious urban fire, we find Rooney in a surprisingly mundane setting, a quiet cafe, far removed from the neon glow of the underworld. She sits sipping a hot beverage, observing the everyday lives of passers-by, people commuting, laughing, completely oblivious to the ballet of death she just orchestrated. The gentle clinking of coffee cups and the soft chatter of conversations are a stark contrast to the cacophony of her recent past. There's a noticeable shift in her demeanor. The fierce, unyielding warrior is still there, but now a subtle contemplation clouds her eyes. The burning rage that fueled her for so long has, perhaps, finally extinguished itself. What does an assassin do after their life's purpose is fulfilled? Does she find peace? A new purpose? Or is the blood-soaked path the only one she truly knows? This scene hints at a future beyond vengeance, a quieter, perhaps more uncertain road, but one she must now navigate alone. She's finally free, but freedom can be a heavy burden. As Rooney contemplates her future, a familiar, albeit partially obscured, figure appears on the periphery of the frame. It's him, John Wick, the Baba Yaga himself, perhaps on his own quiet path. Their eyes meet for just a fleeting second, a silent acknowledgement across the crowded street. There's no dramatic dialogue, no heartfelt reunion, just a subtle, knowing nod from Wick, a silent message that speaks volumes. It's a welcome to the club, kid moment, a recognition of the shared burden of their lives, the scars they carry, and the impossible choices they've made. The brief whoosh of a passing taxi momentarily breaks their connection, but the understanding lingers. This cameo isn't about him stealing her thunder. It's about validating her journey, solidifying her place within this brutal, beautiful world they inhabit. It's a quiet passing of the torch, a recognition of a kindred spirit who has also walked through fire and emerged, irrevocably changed, on the other side. And let's be real, a nod from John Wick is probably the highest honor you can get in this universe. The final scene leaves us with Rooney standing high above the city, observing the sprawling urban landscape as the first rays of dawn paint the sky in hues of orange and purple. The distant hum of the awakening city serves as a backdrop to her internal monologue. Her gaze is distant, thoughtful, no longer consumed by rage, but now grappling with the vast, uncharted territory of a life unbound by vengeance. What does freedom truly mean for someone who has known nothing but controlled violence and meticulous retribution? The future is a blank canvas, both terrifying and exhilarating. Will she fade into the shadows, finding a semblance of peace? Or will the siren call of the underworld pull her back into its deadly embrace? The answers remain elusive, much like the subtle rustle of the morning breeze that whips around her. It's an ending that doesn't tie up all the loose ends with a neat bow, but rather opens a new chapter, promising continued intrigue and a protagonist who has truly earned her scars. The ballerina has danced her last dance of death, and now the world awaits her next, unpredictable performance. And so, our journey with Rooney, the ballerina, comes to a reflective close. Her story reminds us that even from the deepest tragedies, a formidable will can emerge, capable of reshaping the world around it. Even if that reshaping involves a lot of shattered glass and strategically placed explosions. It's a powerful testament to the human spirit's capacity for endurance and the often complex nature of justice. While her path was drenched in violence, it was undeniably her own, forged in the crucible of loss and honed with an unwavering resolve. This film isn't just about an assassin. It's about the relentless pursuit of agency in a world that tries to dictate your destiny. It asks us to consider what we would do when pushed to the absolute brink. What an incredible character and what a ride. Thank you for joining me on this recap. Keep those comments coming and let's